short delay here before we start up. Cindy needed some time to get everything loaded up there. No matter call the meeting of the St. Croix County Board of Supervisors to order at this time. And our invocation today, we have nobody to give the invocation, so we'll have just a moment of silence. Please stand as you're able, and then we'll recite the pledge after. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call is completed. And next item then would be public comment. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to make comment at this time? Anybody from the public who wishes to make comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll proceed on with the business items. Presentation or recognitions. Ken, did you want to cover that?
I think the sheriff's got it.
Sheriff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. April 10th through April 16th is recognized as the National Telecommunicators Week. You guys have all been very supportive of our telecommunicators and our dispatch center in and of itself. Knowing full well the tough job they have. Many of you have toured down there, seen the setup, the amount of information coming in and out of there is phenomenal. I've gone through some of those statistics in our year-end report. Janet Smith, Captain Brent Standard, and 911 dispatch manager Terry Anderson are up here also to pass along their thanks, but also to show their support for the dispatch center and those folks in there that, as I've mentioned in the past, are really the brains of public safety. They are the ones that are collecting the information, getting it out to us, fire, EMS, and allowing us to get our jobs done, serving the public as efficiently as possible. I just wanted to throw out very quick our statistics so far. And as you saw in our year-end report, I just want to go over those again. Our 911 emergency calls, 29,185. That was for 21. Our incidences, our incidences that were called in and case numbers were created was 85,000. And then we talk about non-emergency calls, which are inbound and outbound, which not necessarily the 911 calls that come in, but all the ancillary calls, the tow trucks, the burn permits, the calls to the townships. That was at 105,000, almost 106,000 last year. This year, we already have over 5,500 911 calls. We're at 21,000 non-emergency calls already this year. And our incidences that are created for CAD cards, we are at 20,000, which from last year is already an 18% increase from where we were at this time last year. So our staff down there is very busy. My hat's off to them as we recognize them next week, and my thanks to you guys for the support for the last couple of years, and for some of you, many more. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Knudsen. The next item then would be the County Administrator's report. Ken?
Yeah, no report this evening for the special meeting. We'll get right to the business items.
Then with the business items, the first one is a resolution awarding the sale of 80 million general obligation government center building bonds, series 20228. Ken?
Yep, and we'll call Sean Lentz from Ellers up. Yeah, we'll need a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to bring this forward. Supervisor Long?
Move.
And a second by
Second.
Supervisor Ard. Go ahead.
There we go. Great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Lentz with Ellers, and we've prepared a sale day report to go over the results of the $80 million bond issue for the county earlier today. Where I'd like to start, if we can touch on the bond rating, Ken. Thank you. So the county has an existing AA1 bond rating, excellent rating, one step below the very best AAA. And myself, Ken, and Leah went through the process of renewing that rating for this upcoming bond issue that we priced today. And I'm happy to report that the county has maintained that AA1 rating despite the discussion about adding a significant amount of debt, 80 million in new debt. I would encourage the board members, when you have a chance, to read through the report just to get a background on what the rating agency looks at in determining their rating. Why do we do it? We do it because the better the rating, the lower the cost of the debt for the county and the taxpayers. What you'll see, I think, when you read the report is items that the county board and staff have really a lot of control over. So your budgeting, your fund balance, your financial flexibility, your policies, there are a lot of very strong positives that come out of the report. Well, you say, well, why don't we have the best rating? Well, it's mostly things that are out of your control. St. Croix County is not a small county, but it's not the biggest county or with the largest tax base. And the state of Wisconsin does levy limits. And when you have levy limits, it means that you can't necessarily collect as much revenue as you could without levy limits, and that's viewed as a rating negative. But all told, the AA1 is an excellent rating, and as you'll see, it helped us out with today's sale.
And I'll just say that the AA1 rating that the county has is really because of the policy direction that the county board sets for us. So it's the credit to the management and policy guidance that the county board has given us that puts us in this position.
If we move forward to the market condition slide, I thought I would update the board. There we go. Thank you, Ken. So this slide, we've had this in the pre-sale reports that we've discussed with the board, this is a common index that we use to track interest rates for governmental debt, and it shows it over a 30-year period of time. The top of the page is where we're at right now, and I'll give you the quick good and bad of that. The bad is that interest rates this year, since the beginning of the year, and particularly late February into March to now, have jumped up. So that's the bad side of it. The good side is if you look at that chart over 30 years, we're still, historically speaking, issuing debt in a very low interest rate market environment. So I do think that trend, nobody knows for sure, but I do think that trend is going to continue throughout this year. The Fed's going to do, unless something dramatically changes, more rate increases throughout the year. And as you all know, there's lots of uncertainty in the world currently. Okay, Ken? So with those two pieces of information, this document, and I know Ken was scrolling through it rapidly, went out to bidders, and we asked them to give us a bid at 10 o'clock this morning for purchasing the $80 million bond issue. The county got excellent interest in this issue, and again, that's a credit to the bond rating and a lot of the other hard work that the board and staff have done for the county, for St. Croix County. I'm happy to report we received 10 bids today, which is a great number. That shows a lot of interest. And the bids, if you look through the list, are from all over the country. There are some from the Twin Cities and from Milwaukee, but there's also some from Florida, Cleveland, New York, Charlotte, Dallas, Texas. Again, why is that? Because a lot of these people probably don't know much about St. Croix County other than what they read in this document and maybe what they can look at on your county website. It's because you've got that AA1 rating, and that makes people comfortable in bidding on the county's debt. The bid itself, and the winning one from J.P. Morgan Securities out of New York, was the interest rates are on the middle column there. And what we ask of the bidders is two things. Give us your rate and give us your price. And you'll see their price is $83,700,000. Now you may say, well, we're asking for $80 million, and that is the case. In the current environment, though, and if we scroll through these other bidders, you'll see bidders like to buy bonds right now using what's called a premium bid. If they gave us the bid at exactly the price that we're asking, $80 million, those yields would be the interest rates that they would be saying, these are the rates we want you to pay us back at over the next 20 years. But what they're finding is their clients, who they turn around and sell the bonds to on the secondary market, they want the rates that you see on the column under rate. So because those are higher than the yields, how do they get a true interest rate that's 2.9%? And that's what we decide who the winning bidder is the combination of that price and the rate, the coupons that they want. They pay us more than what we're asking, and that's that $83,700,000. So all of the bidders, that's what they really like. Now we We do restrict this a little bit. We say you can only give us a bid that's 105% of the size of the issue, so they can't do it at 100 million because we don't want 100 million. We want something close to 80, but we give them a little flexibility to bid how they want, because otherwise we wouldn't get as many bids or probably as attractive bids. So it's a little bit of a dance back and forth to find the right point. So with this winning bid, Ken, if we can go to that next slide, it shows the results of the sale and then the county's responsibility going forward. At the bottom of the page, Ken has put up the sources and uses. And as you see, we're going to get the 80 million that we asked for, plus 3.6 million extra there in the premium. How are we going to use that? We've got the underwriter's discount, the cost of issuance that were built into the sizing of the issue. The majority of that premium, about $3,569,000 of it, is going to go into the debt service fund, and it will be used to pay interest in 2023. So under Wisconsin state law, we can't put it in the construction fund. That's not allowed under state law, but we can put it into the debt service fund. And then ultimately, we'll end up with about $79.7 million for construction expenses for the project moving forward. In the middle there, one more thing before we go to the top of the page, just to let the board members know, in comparison to the pre-sale report that I shared with you about a month ago, the interest rates are about 10 basis points higher than what we talked about in that pre-sale report. And again, that's back to that index chart that I showed you, the 30 years. Rates have come up on us, especially over the last month or so. And Ken, if you can go to the top of the page. Great, thank you. So two things I wanted to highlight here. The premium that I had mentioned, again, we will use that to reduce our interest amount that we'll have to levy next year, because we'll use it to pay interest, that $3.9 million in interest. And then Ken and Leah and I worked on an overall debt repayment. You'll see that the payments, total P&I, aren't the exact same amount each year. We did this to kind of fit into the county's overall debt situation, this issue plus others. And what's happened, what I wanted to highlight for the board, you may ask, well, what does that 10 basis points mean in terms of impact, it being higher than what we talked about when we did the pre-sale report? The actual dollar amount is about $80,000 a year higher annual total payments in 2000. It's actually in 2024 through 2042. The payment next year is approximately exactly the same as we talked about, but then it's about $80,000 a year higher because of that 10 basis points higher in interest rates overall. And in terms of a mill rate, that translates to about half a 1 cent in terms of the mill rate impact on your budget. Okay. One last exhibit before I turn it back for questions. This one here we showed to the board to show our projected impact before and after this debt would be issued on the county's overall mill rate. So what you see on the chart that Ken's brought up is the total equalized mill rate from 2013 up to 2022. So $4.09 per $1,000 of value back in 2013. This last year, about $3.11 per $1,000 of equalized value. And what you see in green is the debt impact added on top of the $3.11 for next year's budget, levy 2022 for 23. But one big caveat on this is based on the county not growing at all. So your equalized value staying exactly the same from January 1, 2021 to January 1, 2022. I doubt that'll be the case, but we wanted to be conservative on this. So this projects the total mill rate with the actual bids we received today on the borrowing. Everything else staying the same, $3.11 current year up to $3.54 next year. And again, we'll have to wait and see what that value is for the county, as well as your decision on other expenditures of the county as well. And on the top part of the page, just a reference again, we showed this as different impact from this bond issue on different property values that county citizens and residents would have, or businesses. And the numbers you see here are basically the exact same that we had in the pre-sale report. We do have the higher interest rate, the 10 basis points higher, translating into about $80,000 a year higher in payments, but in terms of its impact on actual taxpayers on their property, because the $80,000 as a part of the overall $4 to $5, $6 million payment each year is a relatively small amount. We're projecting those tax impacts to be in that same range that we talked about in the pre-sale report about a month ago. Okay. This evening, what would be needed to accept that winning bid from JP Morgan is approval of a resolution that's been prepared by the county's bond counsel, Quarles and Brady, and Ken's brought that up here. The information that we just talked about is what is written in legal form in the resolution itself. It's committing the county to levy a tax to pay this debt back over the next 20 years. That's the primary language that's in this resolution. We would recommend that the county move forward with accepting the winning bid from JP Morgan. I think all things considered, waiting, the interest rate market does appear to be trending continually upward. We do think it was a very good bid that the county received today in the current market conditions and would recommend approval. But before taking any action, if I can be helpful with other questions that the board might have, I'd be happy to do so.
Supervisor Hanson.
Thank you very much. It's a great presentation. Could you tell me, regarding the mill rate, how many years has the mill rate been going down for St. Croix County?
Yeah, so Ken was nice enough to bring that chart back up. It appears to me that it's been a continuous trend since 2013, and I don't know if we went back further, if that would even be a longer trend downward. I think you've got, as Ken has mentioned to Moody's, St. Croix County has been one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Wisconsin, and you've managed your budget quite well in that environment. So if you've got a lot of growth going on and your budget is staying manageable, the growth faster than the budget growth, you're going to see that mill rate come down. So I couldn't answer beyond the years, but this trend has been since 13 for sure. Yep.
Supervisor Brennan.
On page 16, it's got a list of the County Board of Supervisors with a legend, like 1, 2, and 3, seeking reelection, not seeking reelection, or vacant, and not everything is marked. Does that have any impact if not all of them are marked accordingly?
Supervisor? Yeah, I kind of wondered why that was even in there.
Yeah, it's a requirement. One of the standard forms in the bid package is to list who the elected officials are.
Yeah, and I think that came out of our review
Yeah.
of the document, didn't it, Ken? In terms of the legal review?
Correct. Yeah, they're marked. So what it's marking is the chair is seeking reelection. So they labeled that the chair is seeking reelection because the chair is a signing part of the contracts. That's why they labeled that one. And then they labeled the 5 or the 4 supervisors that are not seeking reelection, and then the vacant one. So I believe it's appropriately marked. Is there? Yep. Yeah.
Other questions?
There's like a dozen people that go over all these details and verify it, so I'd be surprised if there's anything wrong in there, but yeah.
Other questions or comments? Supervisor Achterhoff?
Yeah, I left the sheet at home. I think at the end of the resolution, there was an incorrect date. It was like an April 18th, 2022 date. And I left the sheet at home, so I don't know what page it was on, but it was at the end of, I don't know how many resolutions are in the packet.
I might be able to help you with that one. if I may, that the date that's in that document is the closing date of the bond issue, not the sale date, which is today. So that's why that date is in there, is everything that gets signed is officially signed as of the closing date, which is that April 18th date.
But no offense, but what if the same people aren't reelected for the closing date? Then you have the incorrect names on it. So how does that work legally?
Well, I would defer to the Corp Counsel, the actual answer. We're getting into the legal realm
Well,
here,
I
but
mean, yeah, I mean, it was
yes.
just ironic to see names on a future date when the names may be, and hopefully they will be correct, but they might not be. And how does that affect the legality?
Yes, and that if you approve this resolution today, you're accepting the debt, and that it will be closed at a future date. But the decision you make today is locking the county in.
So if there are changes, it won't affect anything, or it won't negatively affect.
That's correct.
But that's
Okay.
also why they footnoted that the county board chair, because he's actually the signer,
Yeah.
is seeking reelection. So that's the person that's going to end up signing it. And he's good all the way through the 18th, really. So our rules and bylaws, we don't change over until the 19th. And the closing date is the day that the money hits the bank account.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions, comments? Seeing none, then I guess we're ready to vote at this time.
I'm sorry, I need you to put your roll call back in. I changed something on there and it wiped out. So if you could just do like your roll call and then I can put the motion in, please.
Roll call.
Yeah. Sorry.
We vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item then is a recommendation to the county board, county clerk to fill the remaining term of office for Christine Hines. And we have a motion to bring that to the floor. Supervisor Long and Supervisor Hall as seconds.
Yeah, so this is a county board action. There was a committee that was created that interviewed the applicants. We had a very strong application pool of candidates that were interested, and they have made a recommendation for Christine Hines to fill that position. She brings 17 years of prior government experience, working both for the City of Hudson and Pierce County. So no clerk experience, but we didn't have really anybody with prior clerk experience. So an excellent candidate's been selected, and with your approval tonight, she will then succeed Cindy as county clerk after Cindy's term of office ends on, what is it, April 29th? It is, all right.
Supervisor Long?
I just want to echo your comments. Ken, we did really have a lot of good candidates, which is really a great thing. And we're very impressed with Christine, and I'm very confident that she'll do a very good job.
No other comments, questions? I guess then we're ready to vote at this time. We'll vote. Carries unanimously. Thank you. We have no annual department reports, I believe, and probably no request for future agenda items. County clerk's report, rezoning request, nothing to say?
Nothing, no.
Announcements? Well, let me say I have enjoyed working with all of you. Some of us may or may not be back, and it's been really a good board. Everybody has been very, very fine in the way they addressed others, and thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that, John?
I was just going to say, if you're not running for reelection and you have your device here, just leave it at the table. I'll pick it up. And if you don't need your device, we're issuing new devices to everybody at the orientation meeting, I believe. So you could leave your device here and just check webmail if you want to do that. And then if you do get reelected, which I hope you do, we'll issue one. And we're going to a smaller form factor, kind of like Cara and Paul are using right now. So, yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'll adjourn this meeting at 5:37. Thank you again.